Okay, so this is week 29 for Tuesday and Friday classwork. Unit 6, Lesson 2, we're talking about budgeting. This one circulates around monthly and annual expenses, calculating them and kind of comparing and contrasting and all of that great stuff. Alright, so you will be able to, by the end of this lesson, define fixed and living expenses, also called variable expenses, differentiate between fixed and living expenses, calculate monthly and yearly expenses, and compare that to the income coming in. Alright, so when you are spending money monthly, there's two types of categories that you're going to find that you're spending that money on, and one is called fixed and one is called living, or you may hear it or see it as variable expenses. So your fixed expenses are the expenses that you can count on. So those are your mortgage, your rent, your phone, your insurance. Those are the expenses that don't ever change. So you know that if you save this for insurance, you pay the exact same amount. It will never increase or decrease depending. So let's fill that in. Expenses that do not vary. Vary means change if you do not know. And those examples I just gave you: mortgage, rent, phone, loans, car loans, let's see what else you said, insurance, and there are more. And those are easy to budget. What's not so easy to budget are the living or the variable expenses, and those are the expenses that change. So you're talking your groceries. You don't spend the exact same thing every single month on groceries. Your utilities, electric changes, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Your water may change. Your gas, what else changes? Entertainment, when you go out, you don't go out and do the exact same thing that costs the exact same thing every single month. There may be months where you have an insane amount of birthdays. Like for my family, March and April are flooded with birthdays, so I have to budget for that. But it's not the same. Like we have nobody in November. So those are the expenses that can be a little bit tricky. And that's what yesterday's lesson we talked about, projected and actual expenses. Those things help you plan ahead. So I know that in March and April I have to have more money, so I plan ahead for that. Or in the summer when I don't get paid, we have to plan ahead for that. So living expenses vary from month to month. Examples: groceries, entertainment, utilities, those are three. All right, moving on. Okay, so for example 1, or question 1, we're going to circle the fixed expenses and box in the living expenses. And then we're going to calculate annual expenses, and did Rachel overspend or underspend, by how much? We'll compare and contrast. So let's just read the question first. So it says, Rachel estimated her monthly expenses for the year 2019 based her 2020 budgeting off of her estimates. Makes sense? Pretty smart. Rachel makes $38,200 annually. Her monthly averages are below. So here's the thing. We're talking two different units right now. And if you know math or science, we need to convert. So I'm given her annual income, but she broke down by months. So first of all, let's do, it says circle the fixed expenses and box in the living expenses. So I'm going to take the marker. Remember, fixed is the expenses that don't change. So let's see, the phone doesn't change. Cable and internet will stay the same. Netflix will stay the same. Hulu will stay the same. Those are all fixed. And even though I am boxing it, not doing what I'm asked to do in the directions. What else stays the same? A gym membership will stay the same. Rent will stay the same. So those are all fixed. Living expenses, those change. Those change. Those change. Add a holiday in there too. That also will change. Okay, so calculate the annual expenses, and did she overspend or underspend? So I'm actually going to pause the video and I'm going to add up all of the monthly expenses, because I can't find out how much I am spending yearly or she is spending yearly until we add up the monthly expenses. So I'm going to pause it and I'm going to type it all out, and then we'll calculate it. Okay, if I calculated this correctly, which I suggest that you also double check it. My fat fingers push the wrong button sometimes. Her monthly expenses would be $1,562.26. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can multiply this by 12 because you want to get the whole year, or you can take her annual salary, that $38,200, you can divide that by 12 and compare months. However, the question does ask, calculate the annual expenses. So I want to know how much she makes annually. So I am going to take the answer that I just found, that 1,562, and I'm going to multiply that by 12. Whoop. So she spends $18,747.12. Wish I were typing that. $18,747.12 per year, which actually is really good compared to what she brings in. So she definitely, comparing the two, she definitely underspends by a significant amount, which means she can scurry that away. She can put it towards other bills, maybe like credit card bills if she has those. So we're going to find the difference because the question asks for us to do so. It's going to be 19,000 something or other. $19,452.88. And then it says, did she overspend or underspend? So let's answer that. So she definitely underspent by that $19,452.88. Boom. All right, we're good to go. Moving on. Moving on up. All right, so this is similar to the last one, except for it's more condensed. So calculate the annual expenses compared to the annual income, overspend or underspend by how much. So the income's $45,300. The living and the fixed, those are the expenses. Income is coming in. The expenses are the living and fixed, that's going out. So let's add those up first. So I have $860. I'm going to add that $1,200 to that to figure out how much this person, is spending out. And I believe that is $2,060 per month. And again, the income is per year, so let's multiply that by 12, because again, it's asking for the annual. So 2060 times 12. This person is pushing out $24,720 a year. Oh, they're also doing pretty good, huh? So if your income is $45,300 and the expenses are $24,700, that's pretty good. That fixed amount. It doesn't look like they have rent or a mortgage, unless they do, and they pretty much pay for nothing else. Clearly, I cannot talk and type. All right, let's find the difference on that. Oops. We should be getting $20,580 underspent. Boom. Perfect. All right, so this last one on this slide, we are doing monthly expenses. So now I need to convert backwards. So my living and my fixed is $3,600. I'm not given an income, so I don't need to find the difference. So pretty much just adding those two up. That'll give you a nice solid $10,000, but that's also per year. That's really nice. I wish I was only spending $10,000 a year. Pretty much spend $10,000 like every second. Not really. I don't have that. All right, and then we need to take that and we need to divide it by 12. It's like 8. Lots of repeating. Yep, if I remember correctly. So $833.33. No, please do not put a bar over it. It is money. We do not put a bar over money, unless it's a nice gold bar. Per month. Done. Donezo. On to the next. Okay, so this actually is going to be your homework. I just want to go through it really quick so you know what you're looking at. Each section, let me get my little laser. Each section, it's pretty much a budget sheet, right? So, and it's not the same all the way through. I mean, the mortgage is like the same and the electric and all that stuff, but it does change because every month does change. I mean, some of that living expenses change. So July is the first, August is that center, and then September is that last. What they spent their money on is over to the left end side of the little Excel sheet, and then how much they spent was here. So the next slide actually asks you to calculate the living and the fixed expenses for each month. So my suggestion to you is to go over here and just next to each one of these, and again, they change, so pay attention to that. I would write fixed living, okay? So mortgage obviously is fixed. Groceries changes, that's living. Electric changes, that's living. Then go all the way down and do that. Do the same thing for August, do the same thing for September. So then when you come over here, you just grab the living costs and you grab the fixed costs, add those together, and then that last slide, I want the total expenses for each month. So you're adding them together for July and August and September, and then compare it to your monthly income. Will this person be within their budget for each month? So July, you're going to get a total, right? And then their monthly income would be that $2,335.45. Compare it. If they are over, they're obviously not within their budget. If they're under, then they are within their budget. Okay. All right. Thank you and goodbye.